Sir, una po sa lahat, yung tungkol po sa sinabi ni Secretary Locsin na yun daw pong joint exploration for oil and gas between Philippines and China totally na-terminate na raw po. Is this a setback for the Philippine government or is this a failure from the start considering yung mga political factors?
Well, you must remember there are there have been two agreements that were signed. No, the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, where China and the Philippines agreed to jointly cooperate in exploring oil and gas in the West Philippine Sea under the service contract system of the Philippines. Importante yun. Under the service contract system of the Philippines. Now, under a service contract system, that's a PD, it says there, the first whereas clause of every service contract says, whereas the oil and gas belongs to the Philippines. Okay? That's the service contract system. There's another provision in every service contract system. Philippine law will govern the contract. So yun yung dalawang pinaka-importante. Two very important provisions protecting our sovereign rights. That is embodied in every service contract that the Philippines signed. So when the China said, we agree to cooperate with you in accordance with the Philippine service contract system, implied yon that they recognize that we own the oil and gas and Philippine law will govern. Now, the next agreement was signed, the terms of reference to implement the MOU. Maganda rin. It's still the same framework under the service contract of the Philippines. There was supposed to be a third and final agreement between China National Offshore Company, that's a state-owned company of China, and Forum Energy, which holds the service contract over Reed Bank, Service Contract 72. They were supposed to have a commercial agreement to finalize everything, to implement the MOU and the TOR. At that point, China said, we will not agree to enter into the third agreement unless you change that provision. You delete the provision which says the oil and gas belongs to the Philippines. Delete also the provision that Philippine law will govern. Of course, that will make it unconstitutional. Kaya sabi ni Secretary Locsin, we are in the abyss already. If we proceed further, we will be violating the Constitution. Of course, we will violate the Constitution. We will abandon the arbitral award. And we were very clear with China from the very start when the negotiation took place that it must be under the service contract and that Philippine law will govern. That's very clear. And towards the end, humirit sila. They want to change everything. Of course, we cannot agree. So, when 4 months ago, Duterte said, because Forum Energy was about to send their survey ship to Reed Bank, they contracted, they paid so much, and the ship was ready. But sinabi ni Duterte, don't proceed because may nagbulong sa akin sa China, whispered to me, that we have an agreement to jointly cooperate. So hininto. And that was very costly for Forum Energy. That's why it was very important for Secretary Locsin to clarify everything. There was never a completed agreement because there was supposed to be a third agreement and China wanted to change the basis of the agreement. So, to correct that impression that there was an agreement, mabuti na lang, Secretary Locsin said, it's all terminated. So that the new administration will start fresh. They will not be bound by that. China will not say, we are bound by those two agreements because we signed it already. No. Those three agreements are supposed to complete everything. Anyway, kung dalawa lang, lamang pa rin tayo because there is an admission, implied admission by China that we own the oil and gas. That's why they wanted to change that. That's why they wanted at the last minute to remove those provisions. Of course, we'll never agree. So as of now, lamang tayo. But of course, the third agreement was not signed and nothing will happen because you cannot implement the MOU and the TOR because there is no third agreement. Lamang tayo, there was an implied admission, but it cannot be implemented. That's the situation now. So that's why Locsin said, I tried everything within the limits of the Constitution. I agree with him. we tried to settle it, and I was thinking that perhaps China would agree to this to settle everything, because the Vietnamese, Malaysians, and Indonesians were looking at this, because if China agreed to this, they were prepared to enter into similar agreements with China, and that would settle the total South China Sea dispute. All the disputed states would come to an agreement, and we would have settled something. The most intractable maritime dispute in the world today is the South China Sea dispute. We would have settled it with China agreeing we have our sovereign rights, but they will participate in the exploitation as a commercial partner.
Yes.
Because if we invite for Western companies, ganyan din. They will get the same terms as the Chinese. No? So, but the Chinese come to the table with an added bonus for us. They will concede. That was the frame of, that was how we approach it. And tama, since it's now the end of the term of Duterte, we should clarify na wala na yon. Let the administration start anew. But there's still one more thing that should be clarified, because remember, Duterte said, I have allowed the Chinese to fish in our exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea. Bawal yon. Under the Constitution, that's against the arbitral award, kasi tinatawag na exclusive economic zone because the economic exploitation is exclusively belongs to the coastal state. And there's only one coastal state in the West Philippine Sea, the Philippines. Pero pinayagan niya against the Constitution, against the arbitral award. Verbal agreement. He should clarify na that agreement continues only until his last day in office, so that the next administration will not be burdened with that. Because President Xi Jinping might say, oh, may agreement tayo eh. So that will be another bone of contention. Dapat klaruhin niya. Sabihin niya ngayon, that agreement survives only my administration. After May, wala na yan. So that the next administration will not be burdened. So, yun. That's the other thing that has to be cleaned up. Thank you.
So, sir, ibig sabihin, the DFA made the right decision to terminate it because, syempre, nag-violate na siya sa Constitution and walang negative effect on our part.
The DFA correctly said we're ending it because we cannot proceed to the third agreement. The first two agreements are in accordance with the Constitution, in accordance with the arbitral award. Lamang tayo doon. But China wanted to reverse that. So, if you look at it as a game, you have three points. One, to win, you must win 3 points. We won in the first round, the MOU. We won in the second round. The last round was called off. So there was no winner. But at least on the first 2 rounds, panalo tayo. I mean, there's an implied admission. We did not concede anything. China impliedly conceded something. Lamang pa rin tayo. But sayang, if China proceeded, maganda sana because that would have settled the South China Sea dispute. Malaysia would have agreed, Vietnam and Indonesia and Brunei, because that's a recognition by China of the exclusive economic zones.
Pero sir, do we need China for the joint exploration, or kumbaga this is just part of the negotiation for to come up with a peaceful agreement?
Well, it's good if China will be a partner in exploiting the gas there, but we don't really need China. Why? Example, Malaysia. Last year, towards the end of last year, Malaysia conducted drilling in their exclusive economic zone within the 9-dash line. China said, do not proceed. China sent Coast Guard vessels. Malaysia continued, sent its Navy ships, Coast Guard ships to protect its drilling ships. They completed despite the threats of China. Natapos nila because they have to do it because they're running out of oil and gas also. Their reserves are being depleted. So, klarong-klaro, Malaysia was able to do it. Indonesia did the same in Natuna. Indonesia sent its survey ship to conduct surveying. China said, do not do that because that's within the 9-dash line. China sent its Coast Guard vessel. Indonesia sent its Navy and Coast Guard vessels protecting the survey ship. Natapos rin. They completed their survey. So China was not able to do anything with respect to what Malaysia and Indonesia did. Tayo, Papaalis na yung ship ng Forum Energy, hininto ni Duterte, despite the fact we have an arbitral award, we have a mutual defense treaty with the US which says if our ships there, Navy ships and Coast Guard vessels, are attacked by the Chinese, that will trigger the operation of the mutual defense treaty. We were scared. The Chinese just scared us because Duterte allowed himself to be bullied by China. Duterte said, China whispered to me, someone in China whispered to me that we have an agreement. So, hinto muna tayo. That's terrible. Because, first of all, there was no agreement. Kulang pa. And those two agreements China impliedly recognized our sovereign rights. And we have the arbitral award. And that's why we're back to square one. We should follow what Malaysia did and what Indonesia did. Just proceed.
Mhm. So kung tinuloy pala ni President Duterte yun, para na tayong Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yes, we would.
Nagkaroon na sana ng progress.
I'm sure China would not attack our Navy ships there because they know that that will trigger the operation of the Mutual Defense Treaty. Kaya up to now, they have not attacked our BRP Sierra Madre na yung Shoal. Although it cannot defend itself, it's manned by 10 soldiers because they know if it's attacked, that can trigger the operation of the Mutual Defense Treaty. We still carry the BRP Sierra Madre as an active warship in our Navy.
I see. Okay. Sir, aside po dito sa joint exploration and yung pagpayag po ni President Duterte na mangisda yung Chinese vessel sa EEZ, so far, ano po yung assessment ninyo doon sa naging approach ng Philippine government in this issue of the West Philippine Sea?
Well, I think the Duterte administration was a disaster in terms of defending the West Philippine Sea. Because sabi niya, China is in possession of the West Philippine Sea. They said that in Isona. Of course, that's not correct. I mean, China is not in possession. Physically, it's not in possession. Even Lorenzana tried to walk that back by saying what really Duterte said was China is in position. P-O-S-I-T-I-O-N. Nakaposition sila sa Spratly, not possession. Hindi nila hawak ang West Philippine Sea. Of course, it's laughable, but they were trying to undo the damage of what Duterte did. That's bad because China is not in possession. And then he said the Chinese can fish in the West Philippine Sea. Hindi pwede yan. That's against the Constitution. And then he said, early in his administration, he said, the Navy will patrol only up to our territorial sea. They will not patrol beyond the territorial sea in the West Philippine Sea. Mali yun. The Constitution says the state must protect its marine wealth in its exclusive economic zone. It did not want our Navy ships to patrol our EEZ because that will displease China. Mali yun.
So, sir, meron bang pwedeng liability si President Duterte or anyone from his administration for allowing the Chinese fishermen to fish in our EEZ?
Well, it was his decision, so siya lang liable niya, no? And the way to remedy that was supposed to be an impeachment. Of course, Congress will not do that because he had control. Tapos na yan.
Yeah.
His term is over, so what can you do? Wala na.
Wala na. Okay, so having said that, sir, paano ba dapat mag-move forward yung Philippine government with regards to the West Philippine Sea, especially now na by next week, inauguration now, we have a new president?
Well, first of all, they must undo what the president did, that China is in possession of West Philippine Sea, China can fish in the West Philippine Sea, that we will not assert the ruling. At least the President-elect Marcos said, we will assert the arbitral award. Okay, yun. But what we should do, I suggest three things, no? One, we will enter into a convention. We will rather submit to arbitration our overlapping claims in the Spratly area with Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. Kasi may overlap tayo in the boundary. They are not claiming our exclusive economic zone. We are not claiming their exclusive economic zone. Our disputes with them are territorial, but that's not part of the arbitral award. But may overlap yan because we don't know where the boundary is. So what we will do is we will fix the boundary in the exclusive economic zone and the extended continental shelf. Vietnam and Malaysia invited us to fix it by submitting it to arbitration, but we did not. Now we should accept it. No? At least among the ASEAN states, all their overlapping maritime zones are settled among themselves. So their only dispute is with China. So we will be united against China because among ourselves we have settled everything. Our overlapping maritime claims. I'm talking of maritime claims, not territorial issues. No.
Okay.
So that's one. The moment we have that, we will invite China to join the arbitration. Of course, China will not agree. But as among ourselves, we have already that arbitral award na fixing all our boundaries, wala na tayong overlap. And then we will enter into a convention among ourselves and we open it to the rest of the world that in the exclusive economic zone, there's freedom of navigation or flight for everyone, all states. And in the extended continental shelf, also freedom of navigation for everyone, including all other states. We will invite the US, Europe, Japan, Australia, and India to join. Everybody. And they will join because that's what they want, because they've been conducting freedom of navigation operations there. And this will strengthen it. This will be a recognition of their right. So, ang mangyari dyan, all these countries now who will join the convention will now be recognizing the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And that's because right now, they don't have an arbitral award. Tayo lang may arbitral award. This will be, in effect, extending to them recognition also by other states, and because they will be signing the convention. And I think everybody will sign because that's in accordance with UNCLOS. So only China will not sign, of course, because that will be against their 9-dash line. But that is, in effect, recognizing the states now by state practice, by agreeing to that convention, signing the convention, they are now recognizing our exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea, also the exclusive economic zone of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and even Indonesia. So that will strengthen our position. So that's two, no? Submit to arbitration. Second, do a convention. And third, we will submit our extended continental shelf claim of the coast of Luzon. Kasi, di ba, we filed our extended continental shelf of the coast of Luzon facing the Pacific, Bentham Rice. That was awarded to us, confirmed, because nobody opposed, because there's no opposing state. The other side, on the other side of of Luzon, that's facing the South China Sea, there's only one state that will oppose it, China. But China already, their 9-dash line has already been declared void by an arbitral tribunal of UNCLOS, and the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, which is UN Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf, where you file your extended continental shelf claim, that is a creation of UNCLOS. So that creation of UNCLOS, that body, will have to recognize the arbitral award of an UNCLOS tribunal. So if China objects, that will not be taken. No? So China has no ground to object if we file an extended continental shelf claim. And we have to do that because Vietnam already filed their extended continental shelf claim facing the South China Sea. Malaysia also filed. Tayo na lang hindi nag-file. It's already ready. Our NAMRIA and all our agencies have completed the papers ready for filing. Pero Duterte said do not file because that will displease China. The next administration just file it.
Okay. Sir, is there anything else that you want to add before we end with the interview?
Well, that's it. I'm happy that there's a clarification that those agreements, those 3 agreements, have not been completed, and therefore we're terminating it. That clarifies everything, and we are ahead. because there's an admission in the MOU and TOR. No, China failed to reverse it, the admission, implied admission there. Well, we're still ahead